Hello?
Hiya, it's Anna.
Welcome to The Goal is to Eat, the talk show where visionaries in the world of taste share what it means to feel full. Today, the effervescent Anna Cafolla, news editor of American Vogue and occasional food culture writer, sits on the Togo. So we often consider journalism an act of service, and you grew up in a family of restaurant operators, cafes, ice cream bars, and kind of more premium sit-down institutions. Mm-hmm. What is it about being a part of a kind of hospitality empire and seeing what it's like to be in service to others that has taught you about journalism and writing as an act of service as well?
My dad is going to absolutely love that you called it a hospitality.
In a small way.
Yeah, because he will be listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up just outside of Belfast in the lovely town of Newtownards. It's funny because a lot of the Italians who immigrated to the north of Ireland all kind of tend to descend from the same village. So it's in between Rome and Naples in Frosinone. So it's called Castellatico, very, very tiny town. It's the Cafollas, the Morellis, the Fortes, and everyone, I think like I was saying to you before, everyone is either a mechanic or does ice cream.
Yes.
So we're mostly ice cream, a couple of mechanics in there. And yeah, my grandparents set up theirs. I can't remember when exactly, but we've kind of been in and around Newtownards for about just over 100 years. My parents actually met whenever my mum was like 15, working in my nonna and nonna's in the town square. Then yes, there was a little kiosk in the shopping centre. I mean, there's photos of like a horse and cart.
Wow.
Or painting renderings of some sort with the Cafollas logo on it, and my dad set his up just around the corner from the original in 1993, and it was maybe like a couple of months later that it was decimated in a bomb, so obviously this is like kind of towards the end of the Troubles. Opened that up again, and that's been running ever since, and just under 2 years ago now opened Olive, which is named after my nonna. And that is more of a sit down regional Italian restaurant. Actually tonight we have like the next in our tasting menu series, which is what we do twice a month at the family restaurant. So amazing. Tonight is Taste of Sicily.
Beautiful. Did you work in the restaurants growing up?
I did, and two of my siblings still quite seriously work there, and I mean my dad and my mother have always been like 7 days a week people, so that's also what I've grown up around, and we're all very much the same. But I would have been in the back doing the dishes, kind of grow up running between the ice cream drums, which I think is a nice thing. But yeah, I mean, getting to the question.
How is it that it's impacted your writing, do you think?
I think whenever you grow up around hospitality and people providing service, you kind of, I mean, we're all desperate people pleasers. But I think I really learned from a young age to really meet people where they're at. The kind of, how would I put it? Like establishing real like customer loyalty, and that's kind of what I always want to do with my writing as well. You want people to be coming back and know you for something really specific. Something that being around hospitality gives you is this sense of like anticipation, that you're constantly anticipating what someone is going to want before they realize it, and that's really kind of the pinnacle of good service, I think. And I think that's the same with my writing. I always want to be that little half step ahead, and that it's something that's going to like delight and charm someone to see and catch someone in a moment. And I think with hospitality and service isn't this like static thing in the same way that journalism isn't either. It offers people different things at different times. And knowing that you can be like nimble within that, I think is really nice. And also growing up in the cafe, just being like a huge gossip, like that back kitchen is the best. And knowing very specific things about your customers, like
critical for a journalist, to be honest.
Like I love getting on the phone with my dad after like a random Wednesday and hearing about like there's customers who've been coming in for years who, you know, they'll come in at 9 a.m. and want a plate of pasta bolognese, and or the like little old lady who comes in like 4 times a day, like it's just this little constellation of people, and I think that's what makes me really curious about the world, and that's why I want to be a journalist, I think.
Thinking about loyalty and anticipating needs and being that half step ahead, I think it's, I found it very interesting a couple of weeks ago where you did a piece on the Row and all the snacks that they have served at their like past, previous, current fashion shows.
Yes.
And it's something that I'd been thinking about when I'd seen the blackberries and the cherries totally out of season being offered this most recent time. And I thought, it'd be really good to look back. And they did the water and what they'd done before. And then you had written the piece and I thought, oh, thank God, Anna's done it. And now I can read it. What is it about where kind of fashion and food meet that interests you most?
Well, that story was very fun to do. It was very on the fly because our intrepid reporter, our head of editorial content, Chloe Mal, was on the ground there.
Yes.
Maybe someday I'll get to go to a show by the Row, but we'll see. Yeah. And drink that expensive, life-giving water. But yeah, I think, like you said as well, what really caught me in that moment was these big, fat, delicious-looking cherries and blackberries completely out of season. And I think what's really interesting about where fashion and food meet right now, because you would think it's quite paradoxical, right? Like there's this Vogue business article this big report that happens every year about diversity on the runways, and every year we're seeing more and more that models are getting smaller. We're in the age of like Ozempic-ified fashion, GLP-1 fashion, and but still fashion has this like growing obsession with intertwining itself with like food and hospitality. And I think that comes about from, I think a lot about the apex of like fashion in the 90s and the early 2000s, maybe like into the 80s, whenever it was just starting to become so intertwined with celebrity culture and tabloid culture. And it might be quite surprising for some people to realize that wasn't always the case, that fashion and celebrity wasn't so inherently linked. And I think as the age of celebrity is waning, fashion needs these ways to stay like relevant and urgent, and food culture kind of offers that, this sense of like abundance, and food more and more is also a luxury and something to aspire to. And I think what's really interesting is seeing how they interpolate each other and how they both reflect different human behaviours. And I think that's what I really like to write about, whether it's through the lens of like fashion or food. These kind of like absurdities and contradictions in humans and how we go about our days, what we put in our plate to what we put in our body.
When we were talking before, you said something about the dissonance that exists between like the world of food and fashion, that they try to interconnect and sometimes it's a bit off. But what you're saying about human behaviours, I think some of my favourite stories that you've written about outside of the world of fashion have been kind of your sticky toffee pudding exploration at Glastonbury, or the kind of convent in West London that you went to visit, and they were both stories for Cake Zine. And I think I'd love to know what it is about those kind of stories that is pleasurable to you, that is exciting, that you want to write and tell those kind of human aspects of life.
I love writing for Cake Zine. I think Eliza and Tanya are incredible. I'm actually seeing Tanya next week. We're going to go to the Yellow Bittern.
Fun! That's so nice.
Yeah, really fab. And she's obviously just put out her incredible narrative cookbook, Will This Make Me Happy?
Will this make you happy?
Will this make you happy? Yes. So, yeah, I think I love working to their themes. And I think that for the Nun one, that was food as ritual. And I kind of maybe immediately thought about the ritual of communion and kind of went from there. And it was thinking about, you know, that's something you do like a weekly basis. And you're putting this thing into your mouth, but where do they actually come from? Whose hands are touching that? Is it hands anymore? Actually, not really. But there is this little convent in West London near Layla Bakery that does do that. And yeah, I think with the Glastonbury sticky toffee pudding story, that was literally me sitting on the ground on a hot final day and seeing a dessert stand and being like, I want that. My body needs that. But I think those kind of stories, it is that lens on human behaviour and the banalities and the absurdities that I find really interesting.
Thinking about like those layers of like a human touch and how many hands something has like passed through. We speak a lot about vintage clothing. We speak a lot about women-owned independent labels.
We do.
And I just wondered if you would tell us about what you're wearing today, because I think Ruby Rosa's shirt.
Yeah, the Ruby Roses shirt that was bought via FaceTime because I haven't been to the physical store myself.
It is beautiful.
Yes.
It is beautiful. The shop and the shirt. Yeah.
And
Bra.
bit of fruity booty,
Yes.
pants also. Bought at the sample sale yesterday. The lovely Hattie Tennant who runs that is magic stuff. We are big fans.
Yes.
These also are from High, a really old sample. So they're made in like a thicker material than their usual trousers, and that's Tessa.
Yes.
Who runs High, who we both love. And these are Wales Bonner, potentially too small for me, but we wiggled the toes, they're not numb. And they were also bought at the very recent sample sale.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
And then to match the flow, a Mariam Nasser pump, vintage, bought online on Instagram. Regina Pio trouser bought maybe 70% off. I couldn't believe my luck. And a Prada shirt via SK Vintage, based in Crouch End, via Ineos, based in Newington Green. And cuckoo pants.
Passed through so many
hands.
Yeah.
And actually off camera, Anna's beautiful
Behind me,
handbag,
Talia Bar.
which is amazing. And you've written about her before.
Yes, I've written about her quite a few times. It's a designer I really love. She has just moved into a new studio and she's going to start doing like a Saturday shop there, which I also think love to shop in real life.
Yes, important.
Very important, as we both know. And she, inspired by, I think it was her great uncle, had a store in Liverpool called Lucinda Buyer. So that's where she takes the name from.
Yeah.
And I have a lovely little cow print, like a kind of baguette bag. And then also my little minty green fruity booty cardigan as well. It's kind of like an Agnes B snap cardigan.
Yes. But what is it about that kind of women's vintage kind of crossover that you so love? You know, we've spoken about Los Feliz, the beautiful shop in Barcelona before. What is it that it gets you kind of going with those?
Yes, the wonderful Nadia, who I have written about before because she was really good at opening me up to kind of vintage labels that I'd never heard of, and then how to search for them from there, which is the way I really, really love to shop vintage, is finding a niche label and then just deep diving on it. So I think, again, finding that kind of connective tissue between why I like writing about fashion and food is the kind of storytelling that is inherently built into them, especially I love writing about vintage fashion because the stories that you can tell from one specific collection or one piece that's found in the back of someone's wardrobe, like in Crouch End, is just magic. And I think it's that kind of bigger picture of, you know, how many hands something has been passed through to get to you. Yeah. I just think it's magic.
Yeah. What is it that makes you feel your most full and fulfilled out and about, whether that's through food, through fashion, or is it actually just a whole other thing that kind of makes you feel satisfied day to day?
Well, at its most rudimentary, like, these are core tenets of survival, right? It's food that you put in your body and it's what you clothe your body in. So I think within those very basic elements, there's so much scope and room to play and be imaginative and creative. And so how I feel full, I think it is that constant, and it also links back to, I think, how I grew up as well, this like constant curiosity about the world and about the people that you're interacting with day to day. And I think I am always striving for that feeling of fullness, but I'm so content in there still being that little bit of hunger in you. And I think that's from just learning about people, eating different things, and exploring things within those spaces, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, in the sense that I think if you're exposed to almost the reality of other people's lives and how other people live on a kind of very intimate level in a cafe, in a hospitality environment, you see how many different ways of living there are.
Exactly.
And it almost makes you think, cool, there is no best way. There is no, I don't know, maybe that's how I see it anyway.
It's just always striving to kind of satiate your curiosity, but you don't have to have an end. There's not an end point, is there?
No.
What's that, like, little cliche, it's not about the destination, it's the journey. Yeah. Oh God, don't end on that.